The Lakers signed Trey Jemison, and while that was a good addition to their team and their front court, especially while playing without Anthony Davis last night, currently having Christian Wood hurt, Jared Vanderbilt hurt, and a multitude of injuries within their front court on and off throughout the entire season, I think it was a good addition. And he showed that last night, kind of surprisingly making his team debut, and playing 15 minutes while doing it. Not having a point, didn't attempt a single shot, neither a field goal attempt or a 3-point attempt, but he did have 4 rebounds, 2 blocked shots, overall brought a more physical style play to their front court and their team that they did not have before, and again, I think that's a good thing. But with that in mind here, is that the final addition to their team, let alone their front court or center rotation? Some believe it will, some believe it won't, but now with a guy like Daniel Gafford of the Dallas Mavericks reportedly being available for trade, some believe they should go for him and even go all in for him. Before we get too far into it though, don't forget to check out g2a.com for the best deals on your favorite games, credits, and everything digital entertainment. You can check them out in the video description down below. But now getting back to our topic. And again, with the mention of Daniel Gafford here, kind of a shock, but there might be a reason behind it, and there actually might be some truth behind it too. Now, definitely not confirming it nor denying it, but he actually might be available, and they might be looking for a different player in return for him that would add something different to their team. According to The Athletic and Christian Clark of The Athletic, Dallas has quote-unquote dangled Gafford in trade talks as they search at a high-level perimeter defender. So with that being said here, do the Lakers have what they want in return for Daniel Gafford, aka a high-level perimeter defender? Well, technically they would, but it might not be the guy they want, or the fit, or currently the health situation that they're looking for. But we'll talk about it, what they could offer for Daniel Gafford, what they'd have to offer him in regard to matching his salary, and what it might look like through an actual trade. But starting out with Daniel Gafford and why they might actually be looking to trade him, even apart from them looking for a quote-unquote high-level perimeter defender, I think it really comes down to Dereck Lively being ahead of him and simply being better than him too. I mean, they're both really good centers, don't get me wrong, but Dereck Lively is definitely the more talented player, both offensively and defensively, and definitely does come first within the rotation. Even taking over that starting spot, which Daniel Gafford may or may not be happy about, who knows, I don't really think it's a big problem, but he has went from starting about 99% of his games last season, and now only about half of them, actually under half of them this season. Of the 40 total games that he's played, he's only started in 17 of them, and almost all of them have come with Dereck Lively being out, which he currently does happen to be right now, which might make them more reluctant to trade Daniel Gafford, and they might push that closer to the trade deadline if they ever trade him at all. And even with them potentially viewing him as expendable, that doesn't mean he's not a good player or currently giving them good production. In only 20 minutes per game, he's averaging nearly 12 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, a block and a half per game, and shooting 70.5% from the field. Or per 36-minute average, 21 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, 2.5 blocks per game, and making 8.5 field goals per game. So yeah, pretty solid production, even for a fairly limited offensive center. A guy like Daniel Gafford is not a 3-point shooter, therefore is kind of more of a floor shrinker rather than a floor spacer. But don't forget they use a lob threat, so some vertical spacing there. And then on defense, a good rim protector, but not a very switchable defender, and that's why Dereck Lively ends up finishing games over him. He's more switchable, a bit more athletic, and simply more versatile both offensively and defensively compared to Gafford. But again, for a team like the Lakers, that would not be a problem, as he would instantly become a team like the Lakers' best center, or second best one after Anthony Davis. Some people consider him a center, some don't. Some people are very touchy about that, so I'll let you decide for yourself. Regardless though, he would be a good fit for their team and definitely would be an upgrade for their team, especially if you're comparing him to a guy like Jackson Hayes, Christian Wood, or now even Trey Jemison or Christian Koloko. Obviously an upgrade over them, both offensively and defensively. Maybe not offensively compared to a healthy and committed Christian Wood, but who knows if that'll ever happen again. And with that being said here, could they make a trade for him? What would they offer for him? Well, first of all, they will have to match his salary through a trade, and he's actually making less than a guy like Rui Hachimura, and with the Mavericks looking for a high-level perimeter defender, I'm not sure Hachimura would classify for that. So we're probably talking more about a guy like maybe a Jared Vanderbilt. Then again, they probably don't want him due to not being currently healthy, even though he does fit that high-level perimeter defender kind of quote-unquote guy. And instead, maybe a guy like Max Christie, who I definitely don't want to trade. I'm sure the Lakers don't want to trade. Redick doesn't want to trade him. He's been a valuable addition to their starting lineup, but that probably would be the best description of what the Mavericks are looking for. A guy that's obviously healthy, a high-level perimeter defender, and a 3-and-D guy overall. But I'm really not sure that'll happen. I'm not sure the Lakers can afford to spare him, especially in a trade that wouldn't give them back a 3-and-D guy. He's kind of their only one, only their point of attack, wing defender combination kind of guy with a good 3-point shot. Dorian Finney-Smith can kind of do that, but he's more of a bigger wing defender, kind of a post defender at times, not really that point of attack defender guy. Definitely with a good 3-point shot, and I'm sure the Mavericks would like to have him back, but he can't be traded. So maybe a guy like Max Christie would be their main target. I mean, maybe they could swing a trade with Gabe Vincent and Cam Reddish, but I'm not sure that would be enough. At the end of the day, I think they would ask or even demand Max Christie in return for Daniel Gafford, and I'm not sure the Lakers would be willing to make that trade. I mean, maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't, who knows, but I think instead they would offer something like Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish, and then maybe more draft compensation with them, and I'm not sure the Mavericks would make that trade. And with that in mind here, I think the only realistic pathway to a trade for Daniel Gafford would be a 3rd or 4th team kind of trade. Therefore, the Lakers trading their salary to a different team, maybe that be a guy like Rui Hachimura, getting back Daniel Gafford, and then a different team giving the Mavericks what they want. Which really isn't that likely. The more teams you add to a trade, the less likely it becomes, but that's probably their only realistic way to getting Daniel Gafford, and realistic itself is probably not a good word for it. Now, if the Mavericks had a bad contract they don't want, then it would definitely become more realistic and something the Lakers could take back in return with Daniel Gafford, but unfortunately they really don't have one. Kind of a credit to them, but if you take a look at their team, they really don't have a bad contract. You could maybe argue Klay Thompson, but even then he's not been that bad for their team. The 3-point shooting has been up and down, and he's been a lot better lately. Maybe a guy like Maxi Kleber, but I wouldn't call that a bad contract. And then after that, there's really nothing bad about the contracts they've given out. Quentin Grimes looks like a good contract, Najee Marshall looks like a great contract, and even a guy like Dwight Powell or Dante Exum is not bad for their age and their limited role in the team. So overall, not really a good pathway for a 1-for-1 trade with the Dallas Mavericks. And then on top of that, you gotta factor them being in the same conference, so they obviously don't want to help each other out, or at least not very much. I mean, the Mavericks don't want to give the Lakers their quote-unquote missing piece. Whether you believe that to be a center or not, or Daniel Gafford or not, is up to you, but they obviously don't want to do that. And then on the other side of that, the Lakers don't want to help them out too much. They are the reigning Western Conference champions after all, so they obviously are a good team, and the Lakers have to get by them if they would meet at that point, so they don't want to help them out either. Again, could it happen theoretically? Yes. The Lakers have the contracts to make it work, technically do have the player that they might want, that being Max Christie. I think they'd really want Dorian Finney-Smith, but again, they can't trade him. Overall though, I don't see it happening. I don't see them really wanting to work with each other that much. I see the Lakers wanting Daniel Gafford, but I don't see the Mavericks wanting to trade them to him, or liking what they have to offer. Maybe some wacky 3rd, 4th, or even 5th team kind of trade could happen, but that's not very likely, and if you're hoping for that to happen, I hate to break it to you, but it probably won't. With that being said though, what do you guys think? How do you feel about a trade for Daniel Gafford? Do you think it's even possible? Do you think it could happen or will happen? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.